What's up, everyone? I'm Andy, and you're watching the Reboot experiment. This week, I'm going to talk about land purchasing, site plans, all the restrictions that are involved in land development. So let's talk about land. Before I talk about the land, let me fill you in case you're new here. About 2 years ago, I was laid off from a job that I loved. So I did what any normal person would do, and I sold my house and all my belongings, and I hit the road traveling North America for a year. I'm back in the Ottawa area now, and I've bought land specifically to build a custom house on. So if you're interested in custom house design, or building, or construction, or installing flooring or drywall or lighting or electrical or plumbing or anything that has to do with building a house, I'm going to be sharing all of it with you. Let me know in the comments if there's anything specific you want me to cover. All right, now I said I was going to talk a little bit about my land, so let me set the scene and tell you a little bit about my land. I bought 2 acres in the township of Montague, just outside a little town called Smiths Falls. Now that lot was fully forested when I looked at it, and it's very difficult to imagine your house on a piece of property when you're just standing in the middle of a forest. It's very difficult to do, but this lot in particular was different. This one is something. If we can find a way to clear all of these trees to bring a path down this way to the clearing at the other side, that clearing is unreal. It looks so good, and that would be one hell of a backyard view. So we'll see. About to fly the drone, and then we'll go check out the other property. But before I talk about my design too much, there are things you may not be aware of when buying land or trying to develop on land that you already own. When you buy land, or if you're considering making an offer, take a close look at the development agreement. It's going to contain a bunch of restrictions as to what you're actually able to build and where you're able to build it. Now, in my case, my development agreement was mostly related to environmental impact, but yours may be completely different. So you want to examine it and see what kind of restrictions you may have on what you're able to build. So I mentioned that my land was on wetlands. What that means is that I can't develop on that area, and the wetlands take up almost a third of my property. Because it's in an area close to the wetlands, they've mandated that the distance between the well and the septic has to be 30 meters instead of the usual 20. They also have restrictions on the size I'm allowed to develop. I'm only allowed to develop 0.2 hectares, which is actually about a quarter of my property, so about a half an acre. That's definitely going to restrict the size of my back deck, but I'll tackle that when I get to it. Then you have to look at your municipality or township rules. They're going to have their own set of regulations around things that are usually related to distance, like the minimum setback your house can be, or distances to lot lines or other houses, or maybe distance to bodies of water that are on your land. All of those restrictions need to be followed. But if you have a development agreement that contradicts your municipality, your development agreement takes precedence. As I mentioned, my septic has to be 30 meters as opposed to what the municipality dictates. Finally, you may have restrictions from some kind of homeowners association or community. Those types of restrictions tend to be more cosmetic, but they can include things like minimum or maximum house sizes. But typically they also include things like the colors you're allowed to use or materials. You may even be restricted from building a log home in a community that is favoring stucco, for example. So you want to take a close look if that's related to your property in any way. Luckily, mine has none of that. I specifically avoided all of that because I don't want to be restricted by what I'm able to build, beyond what I'm already restricted anyway. Back to my land and design. you can see that if you follow all of those restrictions, you're actually very limited by what you're able to decide. In fact, you're even limited by the size of house you can build. I would have to go to a third level if I wanted anything bigger than 3,000 square feet. And if you wanted any larger than 4,500 square feet, well, you're totally screwed. You can't build on this property. You'd have to find a different property. So reading all of those restrictions is key. All you can really decide on is the direction. So that's what I did. I decided on a northern exposure so that the back of the house would be facing south with that great view. But I didn't do it just for the view. See, typically you want the longest sides of your house to face north-south. That's because the sun exposure towards the south is the one that you want in order to capture all of that heat. So I'm following passive house techniques here. The back of my house features two massive 8-foot by 8-foot patio doors that are designed in the summer to be shaded to let the house stay cool, and in the winter when the sun is lower to let in all of that sun and heat the house for as much of the day as possible. That's also why I have the two windows in the bedroom placed a little bit higher, to create that similar passive house effect. There are also other advantages. Having the back of the house face south means I can put a solar panel array at the back of the house. And that solar panel array can act both as a cover for my deck and as the shade for the summer sun. The south yard also means I can have a garden in the summer and have really great sun exposure. The last thing to talk about is the one thing that a lot of people seem to forget about or ignore, and that's how you get to your house. The driveway. The driveway is your opportunity for storytelling. Now, I've mentioned in previous videos that I'm a big fan of storytelling in design. This was my opportunity for storytelling. As you first turn into the driveway, you're compressed with all of the trees. And as you round the corner, that view completely expands. And as you turn to face the house, you get the reveal of the house as the trees open up. It's a beautiful moment of drama as you approach the house, and it would be a missed opportunity if I didn't add that in there. So when you're designing your house, think about the approach. How do you approach the house, and how can you add that moment of drama that really elevates the experience? That's all I have this week. Thanks again for watching. Please do the like and subscribe and comment and all of that stuff, but especially comment. I want to know what you're interested in seeing, so let me know in the comments what you would like me to talk about. All right, I'll see you soon. Bye for now.